Welcome back everyone, Zaf here, bringing you another Legend of Slime video. After yesterday's video alerting everyone of the new trait meta, which you should go check out if you haven't already, I left people wondering about a few important topics. The first was whether or not this change is intended, or just one of the many glitches we find in Legend of Slime. Well, this direct email communication from Legend of Slime should calm our worries. In this email, which our epic Discord member Blackfire did get sent, you can join at the links below. Legend of Slime clearly confirms that the relation between skill damage on talismans and traits is an intended functionality, meaning the game developers did intend for this mechanic to have a multiplying effect, so we don't have to worry about our trait points being wasted. It does seem that this is the new intended meta, and I will be testing both combinations again in this video, so stay tuned for that. That means I'll test both all attack traits and our new combination of skill damage and attack traits. This way will confirm which is the best once and for all. Also in that video I announced the latest best slime based on these new changes, but in doing so I felt like I left out a few things that could have made the video more comprehensive. I feel like boldly stating that Miner is better than Gent wasn't really enough to justify things, since we didn't have Gent slime specific toy to use in our testing in order to make things even against Miner. But after realizing this, you know what I went off to do? I'm ready now to make a perfect Gent toy to test against Miner. I'm also going to try to make a second Miner toy, because the one we currently have is missing the last attribute, as it was one of the first toys we've ever made. But at least once we do have Gent's toy, we can see if he is also being influenced by our new trait meta, seeing if there is a big difference between the two, or whether Miner is just in a league of their own. But I'm confident that regardless of any additional boost we provide to Gent from his own slime specific toy, that Miner will just edge out ahead. Since again, as I mentioned in our previous video, Miner does have a very special bonus from astrology, where his exclusive slime skill receives a boost in damage, which heavily skews his damage output compared to our other slimes. Now, to get a perfect toy is no easy feat. We're going to use the toy glitch, which still works. I'm not going to cover the method in this video. We have done that in the past before. I have that glitch video and our previous video outlining the new trait meta in the comment and description box below, so go ahead and check out those videos to enrich your Legend of Slime knowledge base. One thing I do want to note here is that currently we're going to no longer look for skill damage on our toys. We're going to go for 3 specific traits on our toys, and I do think we're going to do this for every slime going forward, which is good since there's not going to be any more wondering of whether or not one attribute is better than the other, meaning for our perfect Gent toy, we want to have a combination of critical hit damage, companion damage, and boss damage, even though skill damage provides a much higher boost amount when compared to boss damage. But we already have such a large amount of skill damage, over 15,000%, meaning a measly 1000% boost won't do as much as boss damage would do for us. And one thing I do want to note here is that the skill damage from toys does not multiply off our traits, which I demonstrate here, so there is no real point in wanting skill damage on our toys when we use this new setup. It is much less efficient. Now, these are the toys we have currently. These have the potential to become perfect Miner and Gent toys. The focus will be on Gent, but if we can get a second Miner toy that has perfect traits, that'll be much better for us. And so far we've progressed in this legendary Gent toy using the toy glitch. Again, we're looking for companion damage, boss damage, and critical hit damage in no particular order, and at the end of the day, we will land exactly on that. But has anyone seen the new fuse mechanic? The fuse all feature for toys is very interesting. I thought I would demonstrate it here, since it's one of my favorite quality of life features in the game so far. I have a few tips for using this feature. What you can do to save yourselves time is to just scan through your toys and see the ones you want to keep, you can then just tap the lock button at the top right of the toy. This will make it so the toy is not used in the automatic fusion process from this new feature. It then will randomly fuse all your junk toys together, which gives you this beautiful sight on the screen. Honestly, this was very well implemented. I was one of the many people who dreaded fusing my toys together because it just took way too much time doing them one by one. Anyways, that's all done now, and we have our new beautiful mythic gent toy, which we're going to fuse up to an exotic. It feels good to finally own a perfect gent toy after all this time, but sadly, we got one just when gent decided to fall out of the meta. Now, I didn't get a second exotic toy for Miner. I stopped at the legendary mark for him since it was just taking way too long to do the toy glitch, and my toy RNG wasn't coming through for me, so the only difference between the testing we do between the two slimes will just come from the marginal boss damage our toys provide. Gent will have that additional 10% or so boss damage compared to Miner, but honestly that won't make much of a difference at all. If their damage output does come close, we can just add that as a consideration to our tests. Again, I do doubt this will increase Gent's damage too much. Now, because we do have an additional exotic toy, and because we can finally equip back Ignis's toy back onto them, since Gent now has his own toy to show off with, we can gain some additional damage and stages, so we have to just hop back through stage boss battles to land on our new stage, and on the highest stage boss that we were able to reach, using our current skill damage trait setup, Miner was able to bring the stage boss to 551 AJ health remaining. Now we're going to do the exact same thing using Gent. We will see just how he performs against the stage boss using his new perfect toy, and then once we get his damage result, I'll go ahead and change all our traits back to attack traits, because I want to show you whether or not Gent will be able to do more damage than Miner with his new skill damage traits. So please do subscribe for that. It takes a long time to reroll traits. I would really appreciate it. Now, even though Gent had a perfect toy, the skill damage bonus from talismans and traits is just too powerful on Miner. Gent was only able to bring the stage boss's health to 1.69 AK health remaining, which is a far cry from Miner's result. Now, I do want to remind you that both slimes are using the exact same build. This build is actually more beneficial for Gent than it is on Miner. Miner has a much better build that he can use for even more potential damage, yet Gent wasn't even close to Miner's damage result. But this should be a given since Miner can do much more with the skill damage he's provided. But let's consider this. Now that we do have a perfect Gent toy, we have to see whether or not Gent is going to be better than Miner's damage result when we change back and use our perfect attack traits. Well, don't you worry, for the sake of giving everyone the right information, I went ahead and used my remaining trait points to actually switch back to attack traits briefly. That way you don't waste your time doing what I'm doing here. This way we're going to end up testing whether or not Gent is going to perform better than the new meta slime, which is Miner. I do have one thing to remind you of though. Miner got the sage boss to 551 AJ health, all while using 2 blue traits. We didn't even have the 4 orange traits for the synergy bonus, so in this next test, I was lucky enough to get perfect traits for Gent to use. We have 4 orange traits, which are all SS attack traits, and our 5th trait doesn't matter for our testing purposes. In this case, we ended up with green, so we will take it. So theoretically speaking, not only does Gent get a bonus from the additional boss damage they have on their slime toy, but we should be able to get an even better damage result as we have a perfect build and a perfect set of traits. However, we will see in a second, regardless of how perfect our Gent build is, Miner with this very imperfect setup was just far more superior. So with our 5 SS attack traits, let's do our final test with Gent, jumping into a sage boss battle. Although Gent's performance was close, he was unfortunately unable to reach Miner's damage result, only bringing the sage boss to 965 AJ health remaining, which is still around 400 AJ damage less than Miner, while Miner was using an obviously weaker setup. And just for fun, I did jump into the sage boss battle using Miner again with these optimal attack traits. We can see that Miner left the Sage Boss at 1.39 AK health remaining, which isn't too far off from Gent's result, while we're both using a weaker toy and non-optimal traits for Miner. So now I am able to confidently say that Miner is currently the best slime, taking away the crown from Gent. The meta has changed, and I do think that Miner could be stated as being the best slime currently. Since this is the case, we will need a new build guide video to complement Miner. Let me know in the comment section if you want an updated build guide video. Show your love by liking the video and subscribing. That way I do know you want more Legend of Slime content like this. Zaf signing out.